Welcome to the Deeply Disgusted Show. So this is our second video on the Alicia Andrews case. One of the suspected murderers in Tampa when he got horribly shot up in his car. Basically, she's not on trial charged with first degree murder for actually shooting him. She didn't shoot anything. But what she did is something that a lot of females do is she played the behind scenes. And playing the behind scenes is just as important as the person who shot the gun. So we're going to continue on from my first video of Alicia, which is coming up there. And I'm going to give y'all more. I'm going to give y'all the second more. I got a few comments of people saying they want a second video. So here goes the second video. Let's go.
Uniforms, disguises obtained and selected. Gear was obtained. Weapons selected, weapons loaded, and weapons modified and made ready. Transportation was obtained. Vehicles with specific purposes. And a plot that required advanced planning and logistics to include housing, communications, and transport would materialize and become reality. A criminal, murderous operation. These co-conspirators leaving their homes in the northeast corner of this state, traveling here, traveling to their target.
Basically what he said all in a nutshell. He's saying that they did so much things to carry out the crime. They got Airbnbs. They borrowed their mama's car. They borrowed their cousin's car. They borrowed their girlfriend's car. And they all had Easy Pass. He's basically saying that all the things they did in order to hide their crime caused their crime they committed to rack up more evidence.
Conspiring to murder Charles Jones, not in his home, not in Jacksonville, not on his home territory, not at his residence, but here in Tampa, while he was on a birthday trip, while his guard was down. And you will see in this evidence the clock-like precision of these co-conspirators, how they worked together as a team in this team effort.
It's so crazy that the only time that black folks, brown folks, green folks, whatever folks you want to call them, it's so crazy that the only time that we could work together is when we're about to commit a criminal act. Right? Sad.
Principles. This is a law that you heard a little bit about. You'll be instructed on it at the end of this case after the evidence is given to you by the Honorable Judge Sisko. She will instruct you on the law of principles as well as the law on murder and all the other laws that you will need to render your verdict in this case. The law of principles, if a defendant helps another person to commit or attempt to commit a crime, that defendant is a principal and must be treated as if they had done all the things that the other person or persons did if we prove this beyond a reasonable doubt, that they first intended that the crime occur and did some act or said something, anything, that was intended to and that did incite their co-defendants to commit this murder, cause them to, simply encourage them to, assist them or advise other persons to actually commit that crime. Now, incite, cause, encourage, assist, or advise the other person to actually commit or commit the crime. For first-degree premeditated murder, we must prove that this defendant intended that Charles Jones be killed. It is not necessary for the principal to know every detail of how a first-degree murder will be committed as long as they intend that it occur. And they did some act or said something that was intended to help or did help the murder to occur. But almost more importantly, the principal, the defendant, does not have to be present when the crime is committed.
He just destroyed their whole defense. He just destroyed their whole defense. Her defense is, I didn't know what they was going to do. I was there, but I had no clue. That's their defense. Her defense is, I'm just a woman. I was just here on vacation. It's funny how these masculine women, as soon as police get involved, they're all of a sudden just a woman, right? It's crazy, right?
Committed or attempted to be committed. But in this case, folks, you will hear that this defendant, Alicia Andrews, was right there, driving right next to that Dodge Charger in the seconds before this murder happened. If the defendant is found by you to be a principal, then she is legally responsible and accountable for everything that her co-conspirators, her co-defendants did. Alicia Andrews, these are her co-conspirators. I don't know if this laser is going to work, if you can see. In the upper left-hand corner, that's Rashad Murphy. Lower left, Davion Murphy. Sean Gaithright is in the upper right. And in the lower right is her boyfriend at the time, Isaiah Chance. These were the 5 conspirators.
What do he mean by her boyfriend at the time? They no longer together, what, they broke up? I'm telling you, all across the United States right now, you have hundreds of thousands of CEOs that are betting money that she's found guilty, and what CEO is going to make her girlfriend. Them CEOs is waiting for Alicia to go on there. They're like, oh, please make her found guilty, please, I want a piece of her so bad. I want some of that light skin tail. I want some of that pig pluff it back there. I want to plug the blankie. I want some of that goddamn European blood. I want some of that European blood. I want some of the African slave blood too. Because I know she's both. Girls like that, they got good kitty cat. Them CEOs is waiting. Oh man, are they praying? They're praying that she comes to their prison. I know I will. I know if I was a CEO, I'd be like, yo, Judge, we run a real good institution over here, Judge.
Conspirators. This was the assault team that took out Charles Jones, that took his life, that snatched it from him in the early morning hours of June 23rd. Isaiah Chance, Sean Gaithright, Rashad Murphy, Davion Murphy. To understand the murderous intent that existed amongst them, and to understand this conspiracy that dwelled in all of their minds and hearts, we have to go back and look at the lives and associations of Charles Jones and these defendants. What did Charles Jones do to these defendants that was so bad that would cause them to confederate, to conspire, engage in this coordinated planned attack? Charles Jones belonged to and was affiliated with a group known as 6 Block. He was a member of that organization. It exists in Jacksonville. It's known as 6 Block, and it is a street gang. It consists of several members. 2 other gangs in Jacksonville, ATK and 1200, were affiliated gangs. They despise 6 Block. They detest them. They abhor them. And the level of hate between these groups is a mutual hatred. The evidence will show that these gangs have been at war for several years. And when I say war, the evidence will show you this is a war going on in the streets of Jacksonville. The hatred and the dripping animosity of these defendants towards Charles Jones, it ran deep. And the evidence will show you that. In fact, you will hear that in October of 2020.
This is what you call real hate. This is what you call real hate. And us, men of color, we experience this everywhere we go amongst people who may be a little bit more light-skinned, like you see dude over there in the upper right. But regardless of that, we all consider ourselves brother because we all from this place called the motherland. No matter where you think you're from, if you think you're from Mississippi, you're not. You're not. We're all from the other side of the world. Unless you are a native Indian, 100% native Indian, you're from the other side of the world. And we got the bloodline of Europe, and we got the bloodline of Africa and a whole bunch of other stuff. Asia, and we're from the other side of the world. And let me tell you this. Every day, us black men, us brown men, whatever you want to call yourself, we experience this every day. We go to the club. We could be in the club and we'll have a dude just staring at us. Staring. We don't know him. Nobody knows him, but we come here to have fun, party. We just focus on girls, but you got some guys, they really are real losers. They'll go to the club just to focus on you like this. Like, they don't even drink. And then when they do drink, it's worse. The hate gets worse. I'm telling you, we are our own worst enemy.
Just 9 months before this, before the murder of Charles Jones, he had left his residence in Jacksonville in that same black Charger about 6 o'clock in the morning. He came to a stop sign in his neighborhood, just a few blocks from his house, when a shooter with a high-powered rifle opened fire on his car, striking his car several times and striking him in his lower leg, spraying bullets all over that neighborhood. Mr. Jones at that time was able to drive himself to a local hospital, receive treatment, and be released. That bullet, or fragment of bullet, remained in his leg until it was removed by the medical examiner who conducted the autopsy on his body here in Tampa after his murder. Earlier that same morning, a member of ATK, a man by the name of Tilly, was shot and killed at a high school football game. This shooting of Charles Jones was clearly retaliation, but Charles Jones was not the shooter of Tilly. But that didn't matter. So why was he targeted? You won't hear any evidence to suggest that he had anything to do with that shooting. He was affiliated with 6 Block. And you're going to hear in the evidence that he wasn't just a member of Six Block, he was a notorious member of Six Block. Probably the most well-known member of that gang. In fact, he was the public face of Six Block. The spokesperson, basically. He posted on social media, but most notoriously and notably, he wasn't just a spokesperson for Six Block, he was a certified celebrity. Charles Jones had millions of followers on social media, if not tens of millions of followers, because he engaged in an activity that you heard a little bit about yesterday from one of your fellow jurors, and he was spot on. That's exactly what the evidence is going to show you in this case. This long-standing pattern of what is called drill rap. And it is an activity that Charles Jones embraced and that he engaged in under the name Julio FOOLIO, which was in fact his street name, FOOLIO. Julio FOOLIO.
Embraced? Nah. Julio FOOLIO did more than embrace drill music. He destroyed the opposition with it. He was so good at it. You got females like this that are pretty, that's supposed to be in Miami, getting banged in a hotel and beaten and wearing different pocketbooks on a yacht. Instead, you got her with a whole bunch of bums in Jacksonville obsessed with a drill rapper. Can't make this up.
In this type of rap music, it's not just rap, it's disrespect. It's making fun of and disparaging not only ATK and 1200, the opposing gangs, but disparaging their members by name. Disparaging, and probably most incendiary you will find in the evidence, bragging about the death or deaths of other of ATK 1200 members who have been murdered. As I said earlier, make no doubt about it, this is a gang war. Mr. Jones, you will see in the evidence, not only produced this music, he produced music videos. Videos where he would travel to the gravesides of these individuals, or a graveside that was used in lieu of their graveside, and do things during the video like lay on their graves and sing around their graves and use sarcastic lyrics in his songs, pour champagne on their graves, rubbing it in the faces of ATK and 1200. And ATK and 1200 were no better. They did the same thing. You're going to see videos from members of that gang. One young man in particular, Kenyatta Bullard, known on the streets as Young and Ace, who produced not only songs about Six Block members who had been murdered, in the days after the murder of Charles Jones, he produced a song just within almost 48 hours and put it up, talking about the murder of Charles Jones, the specific facts of it. This created in those 5 individuals, in their minds and in their hearts, a vendetta. This was revenge. Because he ridiculed them, and he ridiculed their gang, which was their family. He ridiculed their friends, which were their family members. They were close, deep running bonds of loyalty in this organization.
You see doodle face right here. You see this one right here, the one that got the doodle face. He was the one that when they locked him up, he came out with the poodle crying. Like, please, I'm sorry. Bawling. They say, yo, put down that poodle now. He was like, yo, it's just a dog. It's my dog. They said, shut up and put it down. He threw the poodle down. He went down on the floor. He was like, Lord, please. Lord, please. He was begging like a little bitch.
Because they have each other and they defend each other. They defend not only each other, but they defend each other's honors. And they defend their affiliations. This is the murder scene. Let me see if this will work. Home to Suites, McKinley, Fowler, USF is directly across the street. The USF campus lays literally feet away from this hotel complex. Over here you can see it's a hot.
Let me tell y'all something that nobody gonna tell y'all on YouTube. But I'm gonna tell you. No joker's gonna tell you. Let me tell you something. Come closer. Come closer. Anytime you got a white man as your prosecutor, you got a white man that look like this, and he's your prosecutor. You see how calm and cool and laid back he is, and he just telling the facts. You know, when the jury see a white man, it's like, oh, it gotta be factual. You know, in the world that we live in today, you know. But I mean, I personally think she's cooked.
Holiday Inn. This is the portico right here where the shooting happens. What you will see in this evidence is that these shooters arrive here and they come in and they go around the north side of that complex as Mr. Jones is sitting here at the portico with two other cars full of his friends and party goers, people celebrating. His girlfriend was in the other car. He was a passenger. His friend Xavier Edwards was driving. His longtime friend Gino Norris was in the back seat. They pull in. The shooters come in this way. They go around. They come down here, and they park in this area here. And then they act on foot, and they come around here, surprising Mr. Jones. You saw Mr. Jones' car try to evade the shooting and go this direction. He goes straight up here. There is no road here, but they make a road in their desperate efforts to get away. They go right past this dumpster, and the Charger ends up here.
What is this, a double mint twin commercial? What is this, a double mint twin commercial? What is going on here? The girl looked like her lawyer's her auntie. They both got that demon face, like that light, you know, that light-skinned pretty girl demon face. Like, it's like she's cute, but it's like, I don't know if I could trust her. They both got that face. The lawyer's a baddie though. She's a baddie. She's bad. She's bad. I talked about her in the first video I made, and I think YouTube is gonna spank me again. But y'all just try to donate to a brother, okay?
This is Mr. Jones arriving. He's been out celebrating, you'll find in the evidence. That is Mr. Jones with that open passenger door. The vapor you're seeing is coming out of the hotel. That's some type of a dryer vent. Mr. Jones in the red stocking cap pulling up his shorts. He walks in the hotel. As you can see on the timestamp, which is slightly off by a few minutes, this is about 4:30 in the morning. They had been out through the night. They had gone to a couple of clubs. Mr. Jones appeared at one club and performed, and then he went to an after party at another club. He had attempted to make a reservation here, but because they appeared so late, it had been given away. You'll see him come back and get into his car. Video slightly sped up here.
But this is what I'm talking about. You got a boy that making millions, and he's known all over the world, and he got beef, and he comes out the car by himself. Like, you have no big Yukons with security. Like, it's just you and your boys. It's just y'all, and y'all in a car that's not even bulletproof. But then you got these songs that are on the top charts of like Z100, like these dudes. Yo, these dudes okay? Like,
That car entering right there, that's the assault team. And as I said, they go northbound around the north side. They avoid driving near this entourage, Mr. Jones and his friends. This Nissan Altima that's pulling up is part of the entourage that was with Mr. Jones. The driver, Tafa McCrae, is a friend of his. You will see his girlfriend get out. And they go inside of the lobby to use the restroom. So Tafa and his girlfriend, Aaliyah Albritton, they walk in to the lobby, and they're actually inside there in the bathroom when the shooting happens. Now, you probably didn't see it, but when Tafa got out of the driver's seat of that Nissan Altima, Camilla Bentley slid right in behind him. That's another friend of Mr. Jones and friends with these folks. She's sitting in that car at the time of the shooting. She takes her round through the arm. This car driving by, that is the spotter car. That is the surveillance and reconnaissance vehicle. This is just before the shooting happens. And you're going to see that car come right back by. It goes down, does a three-point U-turn, and comes back. And now we're mere seconds away from the attack on the Charger, on the attack on Mr. Jones. You'll see the Chevy Cruze go southbound on McKinley. Down to the lower left, you saw the shooter with the automatic Glock. That's him in the lower part of the photo. So you see in this video, Xavier Edwards desperately trying to get them out of harm's way. But what he didn't know was that up on the top of that screen between that, I think it's a Mercedes and that yellow car, was the third shooter. So what he ended up doing was driving and you'll see it come to fruition here, directly into a vortex of high-powered rifle fire. Now, what you're also going to find in the evidence, and you can see the electrical charging station up here in the upper right, this is the edge of a Tesla that's sitting at another charger. That Tesla has its, I believe it's called Centurion function on, and it is recording from multiple cameras around the car. And this is one of the recordings. You'll see several in the evidence that picks up the third shooter running down behind that row of cars and taking.
Wow. It's so crazy how much detail they have just with just the camera footage. You know, they spotted the spotter car. No, first they spotted their car turn in and go around and park around the back. That's the car with the shooters. Then the prosecutor and them study who is the spotter. They got the spotter car. That's the car that Alicia Andrews was in. Her and the boyfriend. And that's the Chevy that made that right, that millions of people saw in the video. They made that right. And it dipped off. And then a few minutes later, FOOLIO cars started getting sprayed up. Just like that. Just like that, your life is snatched away. On your birthday.
Taken up position by that yellow car. He is the shooter on the other side of the street that forms that deadly vortex of fire as the charger goes by. And as the charger, you will see in the evidence, runs down the side trying to escape down the side of the hotel, this shooter comes running up to this position by the charging station and is opening up fire down the west side facing north of the home to suites.
She's cooked. This girl is cooked. This girl is cooked.
Fleeing up the west side of the hotel, heading north. The third shooter. That's the Charger at the impound lot at the Tampa Police Department. You can see the impacts. Every one of those yellow stickers on the hood, the side, and the windshield are all impacts. That's the Altima that Camilla Bentley was sitting in. It took 2 rounds to the back window. This is Xavier Edwards, who was the driver of the Charger. That's him at the hospital. Gino Norris, Mr. Jones' friend, who was in the back seat. He was shot in the upper right arm. And Camilla Bentley, who was shot in the upper arm.
Yo, what is she writing down? She writing down what? What was you writing down, baby girl? You writing down how many bodies you got? Cause that night you got a lot. You did a good job as a spotter. You did a good job, but we're gonna see how good your lawyers do.
These were the other party goers. Armani Turner is Mr. Jones' girlfriend at the time. Ms. Randolph, her friend. Robert Howard is an associate friend of Mr. Jones, who was in the car behind the Charger, which was a Hyundai. Tafa McCrae and Aaliyah were the ones in the Altima. You could see in that video that these gunmen acted with suddenness, they acted with speed and fury, and they brought overwhelming firepower. Not one shooter, not two shooters, but three to create that vortex that the evidence proves to you, with high-powered AR-style rifles and a fully automatic Glock 19, bringing all of that firepower to bear in a concentrated area easily and rapidly, establishing not fire superiority, but fire supremacy, the evidence will show. Firing, as you saw in that last photo from the Tesla video, with absolute impunity and disregard of anyone that may be in that area. The majority of that fire you will find in this case was funneled directly into the passenger compartment of the Dodge Charger. And every single one of the rounds that were fired that night, every single one of them was dripping with the hatred, the malice, and the premeditated intent of all five of those conspirators. The evidence will prove to you. Mr. Jones attempted to evade the gunfire. He was leaning up against the dashboard. You may have seen in that photo, on those videos, but you'll see it during the trial. Look for it. His feet are up on the dashboard. He's leaning back. He's on his phone. The evidence will show trying to find a hotel, trying to find lodging for them. He barely has time to pull his feet down. The evidence will show he attempted to jump into the back seat, to go through and across the center console. Before he could do that, one of these rounds smashed into his chest. And that round tore through his heart, through his lungs, and through the largest vein in the body, the aorta, a gigantic artery that supplies blood up and down your body. And when he turned and kind of flipped over to try to crawl into the back seat, he took two more rounds to his back. Those rounds ripping through not only the muscles of his back, but into his liver. These shooters, as you've just seen, leveraged surprise. They leveraged it in this attack to make sure that Mr. Jones didn't stand a chance, to make sure he couldn't evade this attack. Not this time. This time he was going to be killed. They took full advantage of this ambush that they had planned. And you saw in that evidence the determination of these shooters, the assault team in this conspiracy. They didn't stop firing when the Charger went through that vortex. They kept firing all the way up the side of the hotel as the Dodge Charger fled. Almost a block away, that last shooter you saw in the Tesla video opening up fire, rapid fire. And as I said, firing with impunity. This was a perfect ambush spot because Mr. Jones' car was stuck. He couldn't go backwards because his girlfriend's Hyundai was behind him. To the left was a parked car next to the beams of the portico. On the other side was the hotel. A hotel. And on the other side of the wall in the glass of that hotel was high-density humanity. That didn't stop these killers. That didn't give them any pause for concern. You're going to see in the evidence impacts around that portico, numerous windows that are blown out in the front of that hotel. And not only in the lobby and in the front of the hotel, up and down the west side of that hotel, impacts. Impacts through windows that coursed through hotel rooms where people were sleeping, families. That hotel was packed with people. Parents there with their student children that were there for orientation at USF. People were there with their small children here in Tampa sightseeing. This overwhelming firepower and violence of action had an effect of confusion. Now, it wasn't confusing to the killers because they slipped away into the darkness. They were gone almost immediately. But it had that effect on the victims.
You see, this prosecutor is very good. He's very good. I'll tell you why. Now, he's trying to affect the jury emotionally. This is the emotional effect. This is the part where you kind of put the jury in the place of the victim. Like, oh, there was people at the hotel, families sleeping, like college students. Like, that could have been your daughter at college. You know, he's affecting them emotionally. He's trying to connect with them on more of a deeper level to let them understand that this girl is a menace. She's a menace.
Gino and Xavier, when that Charger finally comes to a halt, bullet riddled, they realize that Charles Jones is gone. And they also realize that they both have been impacted. They have both suffered gunshot wounds. They flee out of that Charger, and they flee immediately to the west into the Holiday Inn because now they don't know where these killers are. They don't know if they're there or not. So they flee and they run into the hotel. And you're going to see in the evidence, their flight leaves a thick blood trail and a very obvious blood trail. They run in, they get on an elevator, they go to the third floor. When law enforcement respond, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that, the confusion that was caused, they go to the area where the Charger is. They see the blood trail. They don't know if that's victims. They don't know if that's shooters. They go into the hotel thinking that they're going to be coming face to face with shooters. They go up the elevator and they go onto the third floor and they find Mr. Edwards and Mr. Norris laying on the ground, bleeding. Camilla Bentley, you saw in the panic between her car, or the car she was driving, the Altima, and Miss Turner's Hyundai. One's backing up and one's going forward, and they collide going out onto McKinley. Camilla Bentley drives off, but then she turns around shortly thereafter and comes back and picks up Taifa and Aaliyah, who are inside of the hotel lobby. They then drive nearby to Advent Health, where Camilla is treated for her gunshot wound. Meanwhile, Armani Turner, the victim's girlfriend in the Hyundai, she ends up somehow on Fowler going eastbound and comes across a traffic stop being conducted by the University of South Florida Police Department, just a traffic stop. She pulls up and her and Mr. Howard get out and they make contact with the police, who are having a hard time understanding them because they were so frantic and so upset. So they follow them. They try to follow them. They actually lose sight of them because she's traveling so fast. Meanwhile, Tampa Police Department are responding to multiple 911 calls of shooting at the hotel. An officer responding sees Miss Turner driving. She drives through the intersection of Fowler. McKinley goes right over the landscaping and into the parking lot. He follows her, not knowing who she is or what her part of this is, and they end up making contact with her. Officers end up driving down to the south end because it's brought to their attention that there are impacts and broken glass all over the south end of the Home to Suites where the shooting actually happened or began. And the first officer who gets there comes into the scene and he notices all of these 9mm pistol casings laying in the scene. And he's looking at the impacts and he's already seen the Charger. And he's wondering, where are the rifle casings? Where are they? Well, you're going to hear in this evidence there were no rifle casings. Even though 2 rifles were firing it at a high cyclical rate in this attack, they weren't there because these conspirators modified their rifles. They put what are called brass catchers on the rifles to catch the brass, the shell casings being ejected from these AR-style rifles. They modified them, just like they modified that Glock pistol and made it fully automatic.
Wow. Wow. They had brass catchers. These dudes, man. These dudes moving around in military style. Like, how you killing other people like your age that look like you with military style weapons? Like if you're in Iraq wearing slippers with no shirt. Yo, you have Jordans on and you got a home to go to. I just don't get it. But I guess it's not for me to get, you know? My mentality is above it all, where I'm like, I just don't get it. And I think that's a good thing because it shows that I'm going forward, not backwards, as far as mentally. But thank y'all for watching. We're going to continue with the next video. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.